Sterica's first line of code was actually written in Japan. I had been traveling the world helping developers port applications from HoloLens 1 to HoloLens 2, and so I basically got a crash course in like what is difficult for developers. And so this was something that I thought about a lot because my day-to-day was just kind of like traveling around and helping people solve those problems. And so this was also around the same time that OpenXR first came out, so like the very early versions, and I had written a tutorial about that, and I was very excited about it. So StereoKit was really born from this opportunity for cross-platform development with OpenXR, and then all of these hard, tough problems that people were encountering. So it was really designed to solve everything that I was just working with on a daily basis. So hopefully it solves these problems for you as well.
Welcome everybody to the sixth talk of the spatial room for the Global XR Conference. The next speaker will be Nicole Enders, who will talk about, let's go to the next level of collaboration with Mesh for Teams. The stage is yours.
Thank you, and welcome to my session. I want to talk to you about one of my favorite topics. So I will introduce myself in a few seconds, a little bit more, but what can you expect from this session? I will talk about the new functionality which is announced for Microsoft Teams. It's called Mesh for Teams. Maybe you have heard already something about Mesh. That's the huge mixed reality program from Microsoft, and we will see what will be the first product, which is the first solution to enhance our team's daily life and what we can do there now. So my name is Nicole Enders. I'm an MVP for Microsoft 365. We had a renaming a few weeks ago. And when I'm asked what I'm doing the whole day, I have a job title. It's called that I'm a managing consultant. I like the version that I call myself a workplace technology scout, because I love to check out when there's a new tool or a new technology, and I want to check if it improves our daily life or if it doesn't. And I also brought my favorite hashtags here with me, so you get an idea about what I'm doing. So it's a mix. It's always in the Microsoft world, but it's a mix of Microsoft Teams and the collaboration part, and also the Power Platform and the business application part, and collaborative apps. That's in the middle, because that's a mixture where you combine business processes with collaboration. So you have some Teams functionalities in a business application, or you integrate your business application in Teams. And mixed reality. It's a little bit different, you can guess, but for me, mixed reality is a business enabler to get a different way of collaboration. And we will check out if maybe Mesh for Teams is such a business enabler or if it isn't. So, and if you want to stay in contact with me, if you are curious about what I'm doing, then you will find me on Twitter and on LinkedIn. So I have my Twitter handle and my LinkedIn ID here with me. So please feel free. You find me with Nicole Enders without double E in the middle. So that's not a fault here on the slide. I was using this because every other Nicole Enders was already taken. And I said, okay, that's funny because I only missed the double E and here in the middle. Okay, so let's dive into our topic. Let's talk about Microsoft Teams first as our central entry point. So maybe you already heard a lot of sessions or even the keynotes yesterday about the metaverse and the different aspects. So if we are talking about the metaverse, then we have to think about the um, private part where we are talking about gaming, for example. We are talking about the collaboration part where you want to work together, and we have also the part where you are looking to the industrial metaverse. So let's think about remote assistance or trainings and so on. We will be here in the collaboration sector, and if I think about collaboration, nearly 80% of my workday is related to Microsoft Teams because I'm working on some documents in a team room. I have many team chats, and I have one Teams meeting after the other. And yeah, that's fine because um, not with the pandemic, but with the pandemic, it became a lot of more Teams meetings, and we can work together there. And it isn't important if we are in the same office. It's only important that we work at the same time, and then I can join a Teams meeting from my home office, from the office. Maybe I'm sitting in the office of one of my customers, but we can work together, we can communicate, and we have an option to collaborate. Yeah, and Microsoft Teams is only one application if we look on the Microsoft 365 area. So if you are using Microsoft 365 and you go to the Office portal, I know it will be renamed as the Microsoft 365 app. We get a notification bar at the moment when we go on office.com. That's pretty new from Ignite. But if we go on this portal or this app, then we see what's all available for us. So here, only a short look. Yes, we find Teams, nearly here at the end of the list, but we also find tools like Outlook, like the standard Office applications. We will find SharePoint there and so on. And when I talk to my customers, I often get the question, what about all these apps and services? What should I use for? Should I start with everything, or can I say, okay, I start with Teams and later on I get the other applications? And I say, ah, it depends what's really good for you because it depends on your use cases. So choose your collaboration tools based on your standard use cases. And I have here an example that's based on my daily business. So I'm working as a consultant and I have to write many documents. So working together on a document is quite important for me because it doesn't matter if it's a proposal or a concept or a documentation. I work together with project teams or with a pre-sales team and so on. And there's always the situation where I need some information of another person or maybe multiple persons. And what would I do without Microsoft 365? Oh yeah, I would store my document on my PC, and then when another person has to add something, I would send it as an email attachment. With Microsoft 365, I have different options, so I can store my document at a central location, and we can work together at the same time on this document, because this email sending version has a bad impact, because if I send it to multiple persons, or if they forward this document to other persons, then I get multiple versions back and I have to consolidate everything. That's really boring, and that's why I love to store my documents in SharePoint or in OneDrive. That's even possible, and then sharing everything. And that's behind a Teams room, for example. Yeah, and exchanging information is always important for me and for my colleagues, but even in every company where I've worked so far. And yeah, maybe you have an intranet there to spread company-wide information. Maybe you are communicating in a corporate network. That's where Yammer is often used. And maybe you want to exchange information in an ad hoc way. And this can be a chat, but this can also be an ad hoc meeting or video or audio call. And what about collaboration in my projects, for example? If I think about a project, then I need to manage tasks. I need to see on which tasks I have to work on. I also need to see the tasks of my team members, and I want to track the status. So if I finish one of my tasks, maybe I can support another team member with his tasks as well. And I'm not sure if we always know about this, but it's all about supporting business processes as well, because every company and even every employee is using business processes, because we want to earn money for our company, we want to achieve something, and that's where the Power Platform is pretty good. So why am I explaining all this stuff? Because if we talk about our next level of collaboration with Mesh for Teams, then we need to know where we stand at the moment. At the moment, we use Microsoft Teams only for this communication part. So we can do chats, we have Teams meetings, we are sitting in front of our PC and we look into the camera, and then we have the situation, okay, should I focus on the camera or should I focus on my screen, because I want to see the other persons. But if I focus on the screen, then I'm not looking directly in the camera, so it feels that I'm looking a little bit at the bottom of every person. I'm not looking in the eye of the other person who joins the meeting with me. So this is quite hard, because if you try to do this and you look into the camera, then you cannot focus on the content you already see. Maybe Mesh for Teams has an answer for this. So because Teams, only to wrap this up, Teams can be used for collaboration in many different ways. So we have these team rooms, maybe for a project team to collaborate with external users, so maybe with your customers or partners. But you can even use a team room to collaborate in or between organizational units in your company. Or you say, okay, I want to go with communities. So maybe I'm using Viva Engage, or I'm using team rooms for my communities. And on the other hand, I have I would say, standard communication elements like meetings and phone calls. Forget about this homeschooling or digital learning stuff, because that's a special edition of Teams and it's dedicated for universities and schools. You have their special functionalities to build classrooms and so on. But all the other use cases are use in our daily business if you are a Teams user. And as I said, I have back-to-back Teams meetings, and on some days it's about 10 or 15 Teams meetings a day. And if you ask me how many Teams meetings I have during the week, that's quite different, and I don't like to count them because that could be frustrating. Because I'm sitting in front of my PC, I'm staring on my screen, and I have my headset on. And in the evening or even in the afternoon, it depends. I say, okay, I cannot wear my headset anymore. It feels not in a good way because I know that I'm alone here in this room. I'm communicating with other persons, but something is missing. So, am I ready for my next Teams meeting? Hmm, probably not, because why are we meeting virtually? And why should we change anything there? So if you look on the screen, you see that there are many people in a Teams meeting, and they have the option to communicate with each other. They can exchange information. They can make decisions. Maybe they have also apps. We see this bar here on the right side. So they have some support maybe to do smaller polls, or they want to work together on a document. A person can share his screen. They have a look together on some information. Why should we change anything? Here you see there are more options, so we don't need to go with this sidebar here. We can also go with some kind of pop-ups. What about this? In some cases, it feels a little bit different or better if you have a pop-up in the middle of your screen, and then you can do a poll. So maybe I want to check some information, or I want to do a brainstorming. So please enter the first word which comes up into your mind if you hear Mesh for Teams, for example. That's all possible. Yeah, but for me, it feels a little bit like I'm playing an old PC, a game or so. And it doesn't matter that I have the option to work together here, for example, on some Scrum board or task board or so. And even I love calculations, but even if we would have some calculations here in our Teams meeting, uh, I would say yes, I have a lot of Teams meetings like this. So all these four examples are my daily business, but it's a Teams meeting. It's like I would open Excel or Word or whatever on my PC. It's not the feeling that we say, okay, we are here in a meeting room and we are working together on some stuff. So let's try Mesh for Teams. And here is the question: do you see a difference? Not at the first moment, but what we can see here, some people are joining the Teams meeting via their avatar. And this is the first difference we can recognize. So if we are using Mesh for Teams and it's in private preview, so that was announced at Microsoft Ignite a few weeks ago, you can decide, okay, when I join a Teams meeting, do I join the Teams meeting without any camera signal, with my camera? So this is the status quo. And the new option is I want to join the Teams meeting with one of my avatars. So I can have multiple avatars. Maybe you have one in a casual look and feel. Maybe you have one with a business dress and a virtual background with your company logo. and so on. And then you can join the Teams meeting with your avatar. What is the um, benefit of this situation? I I often hear, okay, the benefit is I have my bad hair day, or I have back-to-back meetings, and this meeting is at lunchtime. I want to eat something, but I don't want the others to see what I'm eating or that I'm eating. For me, this is not the right reason. Yes, it can be a good way, but it's not the main reason for me to go with these avatars. Also, this is not the best benefit. So you see here this person doing the heart here. You know, in Microsoft Teams we have the live reactions, so we can click on a heart, on applause, or we can do a thumbs up, for example. And you can do this with your avatar as well. So you click there that you want your avatar to do something in this way, and he will do this for you. And this is, in the future, there's promise that the avatar will also have some gestures, or he will smile when your voice is sounds in a special way. So if the artificial intelligence behind those things. Ah, okay, maybe Nicole is smiling at the moment because her voice sounds in the special direction. Then the avatar was smiling at the beginning. That is a manual step. So I have to click if my avatar is happy or is sad. Yeah, but for me, this looks like a Teams meeting. And when my avatar is joining the Teams meeting, for me, it's the same that I'm looking on my PC. I don't have to look in the camera anymore because my avatar is doing everything, and it doesn't matter if I'm looking here or whatever. So that would be past, but it's not the same feeling as we were sitting together in a meeting room. So maybe we have to go a step back and check what is the real idea behind Microsoft Mesh. So Microsoft Mesh, I say the idea of mixed reality is not new for Microsoft, because there many of you may know about when the HoloLens and the first version was published. Everybody was excited, so we have mixed reality now. Or at this moment, I'm not sure if mixed reality was um, the favorite wording. Maybe we were talking about augmented reality. But then I think 2 years now ago, or 1.5, it feels a little bit different during the pandemic. Microsoft Mesh was announced at the Spring Ignite, and during the keynote, I was so happy and I was so impressed. I had a special feeling because I have here all the screenshots from the main elements on the keynote, because here that was a great vision for me. So if we focus, for example, on the left screenshot here, these two women who are looking as they were standing in the same room and looking on the the planet, the Earth planet here. They are not in the same room. So during the keynote, they showed that the woman on the left side is standing in her living room. So she has a small kid. The kid has to go to bed. She gets a call. She's taking on the HoloLens, and then she is looking on this digital twin of the Earth here. And the other woman on the right side, she is not in the living room of her colleague. She is walking through a forest. and she is standing in front of a machine. So she's checking something, and she is starting the call. She calls the other woman and she says, okay, now we have to check something. And because they have the different 3D objects, they can work together right here. So it feels as they are standing at the same location. For the left woman, it feels as they are standing both in her living room, and for the other woman, it feels as they were standing at the same place in the forest. So it doesn't matter where you are in the future. It's only important that you can communicate at the same time. If we focus on the middle here, we have a person who is responsible maybe for flight schedule or the schedule of many flights. She gets all information she needs via digital twins. She has the 3D objects right there. And if she needs support, she's not starting a Teams meeting. She's starting a call, and everybody who joins the call is joining this with his avatar. In Microsoft Mesh, they're calling the real life avatars in a little different way. So they're talking about holoportations. So holoportations are not part of Mesh of Teams, but they will be there in the future. But it's a vision at the moment. And on the right side, we have a second example. It's a little bit the same as on the left, because here the two boys are learning how to draw Chinese signs, and everybody can help the other person. And in the background, the big picture, you see there's a mix. So we have two persons on the left who are wearing HoloLens, and we have two persons who don't look like real persons. So these are avatars and no holoportations. And in the future, it will depend on the technique and on the headsets or tools you are using. If you are collaborating with other people with your avatar, or if you are collaborating with a holoportation. So a holoportation at the moment means that you need 360-degree cameras and really good light and green rooms and so on. So it's really hard to do this. And Mesh for Teams goes with the avatars because it's so much easier to go with. So where do we know the avatars? Are there other tools we are already using? Yes. And maybe you already use this tool as well. I'm pretty sure that some of you or many of you already did this, because we are here on this conference, and I know that we are using this here. So, do you know about Altspace VR? I'm pretty sure. So only here a few words to talk about, because I want to go back to Mesh for Teams, but it's important that we know what are the main elements here in Altspace VR. And then we will see, okay, Mesh for Teams has some similarities. So in Altspace VR, we have maybe a web application. And yes, we can install a desktop application. So on my PC, I have the Altspace VR app, and I can join an event. When I join an event, I can select my avatar, and I can customize my avatar. So I can change my layout, I can change my hairdress, and so on. That's all possible, and doesn't matter if it looks like me or if I say, okay, today I want to get crazy. I can do this completely on my own. Yeah, and what can I do here? I say, okay, that's my avatar for the event, and then I join the event itself, and it looks maybe in this way. If I join this via my Altspace VR app on my desktop, then it's the 2D element. So look on the screen, and maybe it feels like a computer game. It doesn't feel as we are here in the same room. But there's another option. And this is the really crazy stuff. So think about using a virtual reality headset. If I use my virtual reality headset and I have, I always talk about Oculus Quest, so I have to change this as well. It's a Meta Quest 2 I'm going with. And there's also the option to go with an Altspace VR app. I can join a meeting, and now it feels as I'm in a complete different world. So if we talk about the two persons here standing at the table, if I'm, well, maybe it feels like I'm 5 meters or 10 meters away, I only see the two persons. I cannot hear what they are talking about. And then maybe I have a room which has enough space so I can walk over to them. If I don't have enough space in my living room, for example, then I will go with the controllers to take this distance. And if I come closer and closer to this group, I start to hear them. At the beginning, I only hear a whisper, and I go closer. I can understand that who is talking and so. And if I'm close enough, then I can understand what they are talking about. And if I have a headset or a microphone or whatever, then they will also hear me. And it's really funny because I couldn't believe this before I was wearing a virtual reality headset. I forgot that I was standing in my living room. I was talking to other persons as I would meet them on a conference in a huge hall, and we were talking to each other. We had a lot of fun, and we said, okay, now maybe we go over to the two persons in the background, so we get a bigger group and we talk about other stuff and so on. And even if we are talking about parties or bigger meetings as we see them on the left slide here in the background. Yeah, you can do this. You have complete different feeling about this. And Altspace VR, in the past, it was more focused on private stuff. So you had a lot of public events you could join. You could join a concert and so on. And now let's talk about how we can use this good way in our daily business. So what about our Teams meetings now again? Our Teams meetings can become immersive meetings with Mesh for Teams. So if you compare this with Altspace VR, yes, it looks a little bit different, but the main way is the same. So the main options we see here. So we have, for example, this group of people, the three persons here. These are avatars, so you you see this because they have no legs and so on. So you see only the upper part of this person. They are talking to each other, and if I'm too far away, I cannot hear them. But if I come closer, I will start hearing the whisper, and I will understand if I get closer and closer. So these are the same techniques here. And we also see these persons at the background. They're standing at a whiteboard. If you're using Teams and you are doing Teams meetings, you may remember the whiteboard app. So if you share your screen, you can decide if you share your screen really, or if you share a PowerPoint presentation, or if you start using a whiteboard with the other meeting members. Think about what this whiteboard can be, which you see here in the background. The whiteboard can be the whiteboard app. And to get it really crazy, now we think about we have a hybrid meeting. So we have some persons who join the Teams meeting as we are used to at the moment. So they join this via their PC, they have their camera activated, so they are not using Mesh for Teams at all. They're using the meeting app. They will go with the whiteboard and add something there, we will see that this stuff will appear on our whiteboard here, but we have the feeling as we are standing in front of a real whiteboard. And this becomes crazy, because if I think about my living room here, I have my different walls here, and then I would say, okay, my whiteboard app needs to be on this wall so I get the same feeling as I could draw something right there. And I have a joke with one of my colleagues who said, okay, please don't use real pens, because then your walls will look a little bit different. But this will be the special feeling. I'm in my living room. One of my colleagues maybe is in the office, or he is in his home office as well. And we can work together as we would do this, standing in the same room in the office. We can do brainstorming in a so much better way, because yes, we all have the technology. So we have this whiteboard app to be used in Teams or to be used standalone. But the real brainstorming, or the really good ideas come up with the interaction between each other, and that's hard to be done on a PC to PC base. So with virtual reality, you forget everything which is around you, and you can do really creative stuff right here. And it's also possible in different ways. So think about that you will have immersive meeting rooms. So here in this case, with the bigger picture, we see that there are some people joining a Teams meeting via the avatars. So we have 5 people there. So, but maybe we are the 6th person. I'm not sure, because we have this perspective here. And we have this screen at the background. And this screen can be a screen which is shared by one team member. So maybe we have some meeting attendees who are working with us via their PC. They share their screen, and we will see them as it would be a monitor or a screen in our real meeting room. But we have no meeting room here in this scenario. And that's funny. So we can also think about companies who don't have offices anymore, or who decide to have no office right from the start. You can go with an immersive meeting room or multiple meeting rooms. And on the right side, we have also an example which is more related to um, uh, I would not say private stuff, but we can have these informal interactions between each other. So in some companies, you have special rooms to play games, to do. You have a kicker, or you have a dart area or whatever, and you can do this with an immersive area as well. And that's where we can look what's going on Altspace VR, because we will see how these techniques will show up in Mesh for Teams as well. So here we have a closer look on the whiteboard, and I'm really curious about how many apps will appear in the future. So maybe we will start with collaborating with each other. We have to talk about what about people who are using a VR headset, and what about people who join via their PC. Is it really working in a good way, or does every person need um, a VR headset? What about this whiteboard stuff here? So I know it's clear that the whiteboard app is the first app which should be available in such a scenario. But what do you think? Which other applications can be useful? So maybe I would need some kind of a flip chart also in my room. How can I work with a flip chart which is not existing in my real room, but in an immersive room? How can I paint something there? Um, what about other applications? Maybe we want to talk about some calculations. Can we have a way how to visualize our calculations? Yes, for sure. that's everything which is possible with digital twins, with modeling 3D objects, connecting them to data. And this will be an important way how to deal in new meetings like this way. That's why I love Mesh for Teams so well, because it's a great vision, and this can change how we collaborate with each other. So we don't need to travel far away to do creative stuff or to work together on special topics. If you have the VR headset, then you say, okay, we have a meeting. I take on my headset, and then I have the feeling that we are working together at the same place, and that we know each other really, really good. But in reality, in the real reality, maybe you never met this person um, at the same place. So, what do you need to start? As I said, we had the announcement on Microsoft Ignite that there is a private preview. So if you are not part of the private preview, then you have to wait for the public preview. But I'm pretty sure that we will have the public preview early next year. And what is really important is you can use nearly all of your devices. So as I said here, I have a Meta Quest 2. You can go with this headset, and that's really funny because maybe if you think about Microsoft, you would have expected that they start with the HoloLens, but the HoloLens wouldn't fit so good for the scenario because HoloLens is doing augmented reality, so we would see what's going on in our room here. And for this emotional part, that's not so good because if I feel alone and I know that I'm not there with other persons in my living room, then I would get this good feeling. But if I have a VR headset on, I can forget everything around me, and I am convinced that you are here with me. So that's why there's the cooperation with Meta, and you can go with the Meta Quest 2. And for every other device you already have, so think about tablets and smartphones, or maybe you have some equipment in your meeting rooms and even your usual PC, you can go with every of this option and work together in a mesh for Teams meeting. So please stay tuned. What's going on? As I said, I would love to be in contact with you on LinkedIn or on Twitter, and you will also see there if there is a public preview or I know anything about it. You can read this on my channels. So thank you very much. And now I will check if there are some questions in our Discord channel.
Yeah, thanks also from my side, Nicole. Very interesting insights to this ongoing development, basically to introduce mesh in Teams. It's very important, really, to have these existing tools be integrated into the virtual worlds. I think we don't have any questions so far in the YouTube or Discord channel. Um, right, but yeah, um, I'm really curious to see how these different levels of like interaction will be used, like the virtual workspace and the traditional video, which we are also using right now, is really different. And like it's only starting to really mm, show what you can do in VR. Um, like for now we still use this traditional office space, but because it's just a virtual, we don't need to have like four walls and like to create this
Mm.
traditional office space. uh, is there any like uh, I don't know, like approach for like improving this productivity by a more engaging space in VR, or
Mm.
so far is
Yeah,
yeah,
I think we have to check this. I'm trying to get my hands on this stuff. So I'm thinking about, okay, if I want to do a brainstorming with my team, as you
yeah,
say, I don't need the walls around us. Maybe we are meeting in the forest, or we are doing some kind of a walk or so. Maybe we say, okay, today we want to eat some virtual ice cream, so we are going there, and we are doing our brainstorming sessions there. I'm pretty sure that you will be able to build your immersive rooms, and these should be closed rooms. So maybe you say, okay, now today we are meeting at a coffee machine or whatever, or we are doing this walk right there, and we say, okay, now we have the 3D objects for a tree and for some machines or whatever. So this can become really really crazy what you can do there, and that's why I'm so excited, because as you say, maybe we will have companies without any offices in the future, and we say, okay, you are there in your home office, but you have here a special room and here a special place where you can meet, and that's really really interesting how the future will will be uh, designed by us, I would say.
yes, it's a open field. We have to just design it. Very interesting. So we have a few questions now from audience. I think we can remove this. So um, something very relevant for a business environment is data security. So I guess
Yeah.
John Dawson is thinking about future uses, how to
Yeah,
secure this
yeah,
data.
security is an important part. So we are quite early at the moment, because we have to check what are the technical options, but we will be in the Microsoft 365 world, and there are special security features as well. And I'm convinced that we will have a secure way to exchange data, so that you make sure that there's no data stored on the Quest itself. You need an internet connection, that's for sure, because you meet the other people. That's right. And I'm sure that we will have the encryption, which is used for other data exchange in Microsoft 365, and that you don't store anything on your VR headset.
Right. So yeah, it should be possible. It's also how it is common. It's commonly done in existing collaboration tools, right?
Mm.
Just a different device. There's one more question from John. So, which of the Microsoft apps will be coming to VR? Like Teams, okay, Whiteboard, but people sharing a screen from PC. But what other apps might we be able to work in VR?
Oh,
Hmm.
I I think I cannot really answer this question, because we have no roadmap for the apps. I would say, as I said in my introduction, that I'm working on this collaborative app stuff. Also, the Whiteboard app is the standard example of a collaborative app, and you can build your own collaborative apps with the Power Platform, or you build them from scratch. So if you are an Azure developer, for example, then you can build a collaborative app as well. And these ones, I'm pretty sure, will be available on such a meeting as well. What about forms and the standard apps in the Microsoft world? I think we have to wait what Microsoft makes out of it.
I mean, it is very important. You don't want
Mm,
to like switch back and forth just because like some of your uh, files or like work is in another um,
mm,
Microsoft app. So like I hope they will think about it. Worst
Mhm.
case, you can share your desktop from PC. I guess that's
Yeah.
one way to do it, integrating the 2D app.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So I hope that answers all the questions. We are almost out of time, maybe 2 minutes. Um, right. Um, so I'm also interested about the rollout. Will this be like just will there be like a public beta, or will this be like a closed app which you need to like subscribe to Office 365?
Okay. First of all, you need a Microsoft 365 tenant. In
Ah,
many companies, it's there because you need this for the Office licensing itself. So
yeah,
if you are going with PowerPoint and so on, um, then you can check this out. So at the moment, we have the private preview. That's really closed. So there are only special companies and special group of people right there. But if you have the public preview, then it depends on, I would say, your administrators in your Microsoft 365 tenant, if they activate this feature and say, okay, you can check this out. That depends on the, I would say, the rules, the governance, which is rolled out in your company. But there would be an option, and then
yeah,
later on, after public preview, it's available in every tenant. So during the public preview, Microsoft says, okay, if there are some bugs, yeah, this can happen. But after public preview, there shouldn't be any main bugs, I would say. There's always an option that there is a problem, but that are smaller ones. But if you want to get your hands on and you don't have a Microsoft 365 tenant in your company, there's also the option to go with the developer program for Microsoft
mm,
365. Then you get your own
good,
tenant with, I would say, it's only for demo purposes, but you can
yeah.
check it out. It's free, so you only have to sign up for a developer tenant and say, okay, I will use this, and if I'm not active for 90 days, then it will be removed. If you are active in your tenant, then it will be extended after the 90 days for another 90 days. And that's the way how many people check out new functionalities.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I think that's important. Yeah, we have Teams, and I tried the mesh demo on the HoloLens, but it's not really public. Like what is so we will see. I guess Microsoft will hopefully uh, sh- release the public demo preview soon.
Mhm. Yeah,
So thanks again for all this interesting information. And
you're
yeah, we have to
welcome.
close the session, but yeah, again, thanks for the talk and goodbye.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.